Welcome back, students. I am your SST teacher Vandana Joshi and you are watching SST June. So students, today we are going to start a new chapter in history, chapter 6. Students, whenever we visit a historical place, what is the first thing which we see there? Some are seeing some beauty of the nature, but mostly when we are visiting to a historical place, I think so that everybody was noticing their architecture of the historical buildings and some important information we are getting about that place. But how did we become to know about these different type of historical places and the art and architecture which has spread over the country? So to know about these type of questions, let's move to our sixth chapter of history, that is town, traders and craftspersons. So students, here are many topics in this chapter, but today we will cover few topics. The topics are introduction of the chapter. Second topic will be the administrative centers during the medieval period, and the third topic of the chapter, that is temple towns and pilgrimage centers. So students, let's begin with our first topic, that is the introduction of the chapter. Students, we get information about these towns mainly from the archaeological work which has been done by the rulers and the builders, and literary sources about these archaeological system and the development during the medieval period. These were some official documents, some records, some monuments, some precious things, and some traveler records were there, due to which we become to know about these type of trades, towns and the craftspersons during the medieval period. Students, if we talk about the accounts which were written by the travelers, these were some autobiographies and some biographies. So due to which we become to know about the different rulers, the builders and many type of archaeological things. Students, if we talk about the different type of aspects during the medieval period, so one most important aspect during the medieval period, that was the urbanization of the town. Means in that areas the rural areas are also developing into the cities due to so many things, in which one most important thing was the administrative system which was introduced by the rulers. And even we can say it was a notable feature of that period. In which medieval period, it was a notable feature that the growing up towns in various part of the country, especially the areas which were the religious hubs, they were developing during that time. If you will see in the chapter 1st and 2nd, there was given an account of the Cholas dynasty. If you will see in that, in the south region of our country, the Tanjar was an area which was so much developed during the medieval period. And these growing up towns were only the main focus of all kind of administrative activities during the medieval period. Even these areas were also a big hub of all kind of administrative activities. So now we will see our next topic, in which we will see the main features of those administrative sectors, and our next topic is administrative centers. Students, till chapter 5 we have studied about the different type of administrative centers as there were many kind of administrative center in the different dynasties. If you will see in the Chola dynasties, they were having a different kind of administrative system. Even the administrative system was differ in the Delhi Sultanates and the Mughal Empire. So first here we are going to discuss about a big administrative center. It was in Chola Empire and the center name was Tanjar. So especially students, the Tanjar, it was the capital of Cholas and it was a developed city as well. So it was a big hub of many kind of activities as art and craft, dance, music, many kind of traders and different type of activities which were occurred during the medieval period. Students, if even we can say it was a big hub, also some economical and some administrative activities. Students, the capital of Cholas, that was Tanjar. So it was a very good example of an administrative town. If we talk about the Tanjore, there were so many big mandapas where the king was held his courts and he was giving order and he was making his political and administrative decisions in the mandapas. And students, even near around the temples there were some army barracks for the soldiers. And even the market was a big platform for all kind of traders for selling grains, spices, clothes, jewelry and many more things. Even the capital was also famous for its bronze bell metal techniques. And it was a technique in which the artisans were preparing different type of sculpture with the use of different type of material. But the famous metal for preparing any sculpture, that was bronze. If you will see in the picture, there are different type of sculpture during the medieval period. Students, if we talk about one more famous feature of the time of medieval period, that was the towns were known as the temple towns. So what was the reason behind to call them temple towns? Let's move to our next topic, in which we will become to know about the question why the towns were known as the temple towns. So let's watch our next topic, that is temple town and pilgrimage centers. Students, as already we have studied in our previous chapters, especially in chapter 1st and 2nd, we have studied that during the medieval periods the rulers were building the different type of temples. They were building the temples to show off their power and to show their devotion for their deities and the devotees. As I told you, the kings were building the temples in their towns to show off their powers. So one more reason behind that, the temples were an area where all kind of activities were practicing. So to know about the common problems of the people of the empire of the king were also building the temples, because that time the court was also practiced in the temples, which was known as the mandapas. The different type of political, economical and cultural activities were practicing in the temples, and also the temples were a source of income for the state revenue, through which the king can fulfill the requirement of the state and even they were giving that money to the different type of artisans and the different type of people, so to fulfilling the financial need of the priests, artisans, and the poets, and the people of the countries. Those were the needy persons. To fulfilling their requirements, the king was giving them money from the revenue of the temples. So that's why the temples were also known as the economical hub of the medieval period, and because to get more and more revenue, the temples were built during that time. So that was also a reason behind to call a city as a temple town. Students, the pilgrimage centers become the center of learning and cultural activities during medieval period. Even the temple's authorities used their wealth to finance trade and banking. The Varanasi, Dwarikapuri, Tanjar, and many more areas were there which were known as the temple town. Due to the reason to finance to different type of art and architecture, a large number of priests, artisans, traders, and many more small traders, they were settled down near around the areas to fulfill their economical requirements. And because the areas where they settled down, that areas were having a lots of temples, so that's why these areas were known as the temple towns. During the Mughal period and the period of Delhi Sultanate, the same practice were going on to make a religious hub and to be settled down near around that religious areas. It was emerged during the Mughal and the Delhi Sultanate times as well. If we talk about few areas, that was the Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti at Ajmer and Khwaja Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia near Delhi. These were also become economical hubs, and we can say area where the cultural and the different type of activities were practicing during the Mughal period and the Delhi Sultanate period. So about this we will study in our next upcoming chapters, where we will study about the Sufi saints. So students, here we can say the temple towns and the pilgrimage areas which were developed during the medieval period, they were played a big role to develop the city as well as the cultural activities over the country and over the world. After the development of the big cities, and the administrative system was followed by the small towns. So how they followed? The small towns followed the administrative system from the big cities, and what things were happened after that we will study in our next topic, which we will see in our next video. So for that, keep watching SSD Joe.